Hey guys, William Pulfer-melville here, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about Theodore Tugboat. Now, for those of you who probably don't know, Theodore Tugboat was a Canadian, basically a Canadian children's series that used live action small scale models, much like they did with the original Thomas the Tank Engine, as well as its sister series Tugs, which, fun fact, Robert D. Cardona actually did work on this series after Tugs ended. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. Now, more often or not, when a show is popular, they do tend to make animated specials or movies. And it had me thinking, what if Theodore Tugboat had some movies or specials? But that's what I'm going to talk about today. Though I'm going to talk about one of my own ideas I've had for a Theodore Tugboat movie. I've actually had 4 ideas. This one is actually one. I think I'll talk about one of them today, and then I'll probably talk about the others in another video. So, this idea I've had for a Theodore Tugboat movie is what I title Theodore Tugboat and the Royal Yacht. So the film opens up with the tugboats at the Great Ocean Dock, basically telling stories about some of the first tugboats in Big Harbour, and how one of them saved a vessel which was known as the Royal Yacht. Theodore then goes out on patrol to see if any boats need towing in. That is until he comes across a yacht who calls himself Rocky Gabrielson, who refuses help. The next day, when Theodore awakes, he is told by the dispatcher that he has to go to Big Bay, one of the faraway harbours. And so Theodore goes. It takes him 2 days to get there. But when he arrives, not only does he get an unpleasant greeting in Big Bay, as he is picked up and tossed around by a bunch of cranes who start singing and making the poor little tugboat giddy, until he is thrown back into the sea again, and is told to just stay the night before he heads over to basically the headquarters that organises for tugboats to be in harbours to begin with. The next day, it's revealed that Theodore has actually been, he's been told that he's not allowed to act as a tugboat anymore, after supposedly refusing to tow Rocky Gabrielson, even though Rocky was the one that refused. And not only that, it turns out that this yacht also owns the container port that Theodore ended up at. That is when Theodore then meets a supply boat named Tamika, who actually shows him that Big Bay is also the home of a large palace-like boathouse known as the Royal Harbour, which is the home of Queen Stephanie, the queen of all, basically the queen of all the boats in the world. It turns out as well that a year ago, her consort, King Leopold, the royal yacht, went missing, supposedly to find their daughter, the princess, but hadn't returned ever since. Made worse by the paparazzi outside, wanting to know the truth. So Theodore says to Queen Stephanie that he will find the royal yacht and bring him back to the royal harbour. And so Queen Stephanie organises for Theodore to go out with a few other boats to accompany him. These include a geeky research vessel named Wendell and a bombastic army boat named General Bang. But what they don't know is that while all this is going on, Rocky actually reveals his true evil plan. And it is, well, if the royal yacht won't return, then that means all he has to do is make Queen Stephanie step down as queen of all the boats in the world, and then declare that the boats become a republic, thus making Rocky become the first ever president of all boats. Showing us, the audience, that Rocky absolutely hates Queen Stephanie and the royals, and has also orchestrated some help from not only the paparazzis, but also the admiral and the royals, I guess, and the royals' valet. The search for the royal yacht ends up going out towards an upriver, and a few other coastal islands, but still no sign of the royal yacht. Soon they all end up giving up, and this is when the truth is out, as the paparazzis and Rocky end up showing up and tell the search and rescue crew that basically Theodore isn't a classified tugboat anymore. Which not only leads to General Bang getting angry because she had just been following orders from a tugboat who isn't a tugboat anymore, and so Theodore separates from the group until he comes across an old harbour, an old fishing village, and that's when he spots a very old-looking yacht. And he finds out that this is indeed King Leopold, the royal yacht himself. He had to be in disguise so he wouldn't be bothered, and explains that as much as he hated basically leaving without saying goodbye to Queen Stephanie, he had to find their daughter. And that is when Rocky shows up again, only this time he's a lot more deadlier, as he now attempts to try and destroy the royal yacht so that his plans can come into formation, and sends the paparazzis out to try and, well, make Leopold look bad. And when Theodore ends up reuniting with the other boats, they're shocked to find out that Theodore has found the royal yacht. But Leopold says that he can't leave until they find his daughter, simply known as Princess. And that's when they decide to go to an island, which is said to be the last place she was before she went missing. And this is where everything is revealed. Princess was actually trapped in a cave, trapped by a giant boulder. And with help from Theodore and the other boats, they're able to set her free, with it being revealed that Rocky had basically trapped her there a year ago. So they all return to the Royal Harbour, where Theodore is basically rewarded for his work in saving Princess, and is given back his role as a tugboat again, with Leopold and Queen Stephanie even inviting all the boats from all the nearby harbours, including Big Harbour, to congratulate Theodore for his work. And after all that, Rocky and his goons are arrested and thrown out of the Royal Harbour, with the paparazzi now deciding that they want to take photos of Rocky for their, well, for the newspaper. And the film ends with Theodore heading back to Big Harbour, now wearing a medal around his neck for his bravery. And Theodore can't be any more happier where the film ends. I've got to say, this is a film idea that I think works really well, because it tells a story that does everything you need to do for a show based on a TV show. For a start, it raises the bar. It has the main character leaving the place that they are familiar with and interacting with new environments. Thus, the stakes are raised. And overall, it is basically an in-character next step in the character's journey. So, what do you guys think? Do you hate it? Do you love it? What would you do to better this film? Tell me in the comments below. And until next time, this is William Pulfer-melville signing off. Goodbye, everyone.